Heavenly revelations prophesied. 12 days until divine change manifests this September 2025. In the quaint village of Eldersfield, whispers of hope danced like autumn leaves in the wind. St. Michael's Chapel stood tall, its stone walls brimming with centuries of faith, glowing softly under the ethereal light of the setting sun. Each evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the villagers gathered, forming a circle of intertwining hands and uplifted voices. They prayed fervently for Tommy, Hannah's precious little boy, gravely ill but hanging on, his strength flickering like a faint candle in a tempest. Faith wafted through the air, thick and sweet like honey, as tears flowed freely from mothers, fathers, and elders alike. Just when despair threatened to settle in, a respected elder, clad in robes aged by time, stepped forward with eyes shimmering like stars. 12 days until divine change manifests, he proclaimed, and those words reverberated in the chapel like a celestial trumpet. Hope ignited among them. Murmurs of miracles began to swirl through the pews as faith rekindled in their hearts. Hannah felt emotions cresting within her: joy, disbelief, hope, all swirling together like a beautiful autumn tempest. Yet, among the guards of faith clustered in their prayers, a sharp-breathed skeptic lingered. Geoffrey, known for his cold tongue and scornful laughter, stood glaring. 12 days. Miracles are for the naive, he scoffed, cutting through the sweet sound of devotion like a knife. Hannah's heart sank. Would his doubt extinguish the light flickering in her soul? Determination bloomed within Hannah as she spoke of the prophecy to her friends, Margaret and Ruth. They rallied around her, knees touching in support, each word a life raft amidst the tumultuous sea of doubt. They lifted prayers heavenward, their voices a chorus of faith woven in fragile hope. Yet, with each passing day, the colors of her world faded, turning dulled and gray, much like the autumn leaves falling around her. Questions picked at her heart like crows, gnawing on feelings of trust. Was Geoffrey right? As the 12th day neared, a sudden shift occurred as stillness suffused the air. Tommy, once frail, radiated a newfound peace. The doctors, baffled and bewildered, exchanged glances, amazed at the unexpected change. The villagers' excitement buzzed, but Geoffrey's laughter haunted her thoughts. The gnawing doubt returned with ferocity. Had they truly found favor with the divine, or was this simply a momentary escape from their grief? On the eve of the 12th day, gathered at St. Michael's once more, the atmosphere pulsed with anticipation. The faithful lit candles, illuminating the chapel with a warm glow akin to heavenly light. With each hymn sung, hope wrapped tighter around their hearts. And as the clock inched closer to midnight, a divine hush fell over them. Hannah's heart raced. This felt like a crossing point: faith against doubt, light against darkness. Suddenly, a burst of radiant warmth enveloped the chapel. A brilliant light cascaded through the wooden beams, and for a moment, all was silent. Then a cry pierced the night. Tommy stood tall, laughter bubbling forth like a sweet babbling brook. Gasps erupted, gasping breaths mingling with tears. Joy swept through the village as members felt a rush of healing, smiles blooming where despair once lingered. Yet, amidst the jubilance, Hannah's gaze locked on Geoffrey. His face wore astonishment, but still, there was skepticism lurking in his eyes. Was this a divine act or mere illusion? Elation twisted in her heart, leaving her wondering, was this moment the end of their struggle, or merely the beginning of deeper trials to come? The morning sun poured over Eldersfield like a golden blessing, illuminating the village's cobblestones with warmth. Laughter chimed through the air, a joyous symphony celebrating Tommy's spirited reawakening. It seemed as if the entire village was glowing with renewed hope, and yet a few shadows danced within Hannah's heart. She felt the thrill of miracles around her, but doubt still gnawed in the corners of her soul. Gathered in the chapel once more, families laughed and hugged, tears of joy mingling with shouts of triumph. Hannah's sense of gratitude swelled. Yet her thoughts flicked to Jeffrey. Is he convinced yet? She wondered. For him, this was not just an event. It was a challenge to his worldview. Jeffrey stood on the periphery, arms crossed tightly against his chest. Conflict painted his brow as he listened to the jubilant praise. He watched as Hannah danced in the center of the chapel, her spirits soaring, and a flicker of longing crossed his face. But the walls of his doubt held firm. This can't be real, he grumbled under his breath. Then, the elderly elder who announced the prophecy stepped forward, summoning silence with a gesture. With a voice that trembled with authenticity, he spoke, "A miracle has touched our dear Tommy, but we must not lose sight of the path ahead. This is but a beginning, my friends. There are deeper waters to navigate, trials ahead that will test our faith anew." The congregation exchanged worried glances, the joy of revival tinged with a hint of apprehension. Tommy, still bright-eyed, noticed their unease. "It's okay," he exclaimed with a childlike sincerity. "I feel stronger than ever. We could do anything together." His innocence radiated warmth, soothing the tension woven through the chapel. But as the villagers celebrated, an unexpected ripple of unease escaped Jeffrey's clenched fists. He stepped forward, voice quaking. If a divine gift touched that boy, why did it choose him? Do we merely sit back and accept whatever comes as fate? Are we not to question our circumstances? What if tomorrow takes all this away? That single question echoed through the hearts of the villagers, stirring a deep internal conflict. Could they face further heartbreak? Was their joy mere illusion? Hannah's heart sank with the weight of doubt. It was as if Jeffrey's words cracked open the fragile shell of their newfound happiness. "Faith doesn't mean we ignore challenges," spoke Margaret, taking a step forward. "It's about rising above them. We believed in the promise, and we must continue to believe. Every day is a new step on our journey." Yet even as her words lingered, shadows cast by Jeffrey's skepticism loomed larger. How could they cultivate a stronghold of faith when uncertainty brewed around them? As the congregation gathered once more to pray, an atmosphere of both belief and fear intermingled, forming a living tapestry of human experience. Hannah knelt, eyes closed, heart pleading, "Lord, help us stand firm. Help us to hold on to faith, even amidst shadows." The stillness that followed felt heavy, pregnant with possibilities of hope lost or hope strengthened. As the gathering drew together once more, a faint whisper slipped through the air, an inexplicable sound distinctly felt yet just beyond understanding. Did they hear it, or was it simply their longing for reassurance? It resonated like a call, urging them to seek deeper truths. With hearts fluttering like wings ready to take flight, each villager shivered with a mixture of hope and dread. For challenges might indeed be necessary bitter, yet sweet in their lessons. If today was a miracle, what might tomorrow hold? And as the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of crimson and gold, Hannah knew the unveiling of a greater mystery was imminent. Would they be prepared to meet it? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting deep shadows over Eldersfield, a hush fell upon the village. The celebration within the chapel started to wind down, but a collective sense of anticipation lingered. People slowly began to drift home, their minds heavy with thoughts of what tomorrow might bring. Hannah remained behind, the faint glow of candles flickering in the soft twilight. Jeffrey lingered nearby, the creases on his forehead still etched deep with uncertainty. They were drawn together, not by laughter, but by a shared need to understand the weight of the moment they had just experienced. "Do you really think we've seen a miracle?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. His arms still crossed protectively over his chest, almost as if he were shielding himself from curiosity's tender grasp. "Haven't you felt it?" Hannah replied, her voice laced with both an urgency and tenderness that pulled at Jeffrey's heart. Tommy's smile, the love pouring from everyone. "This is real, Jeff." He opened his mouth, but no words came out. Instead, he turned his gaze to the chapel's worn wooden beams. "But tomorrow, what assurances do we have?" It was not mere skepticism. It was fear laid bare. Hannah stepped closer, her eyes full of compassion. Faith isn't about knowing every step ahead. It's about trusting the path laid before us, even when it veers into the unknown. Before Jeffrey could reply, a gust of wind swept through the chapel, ruffling the papers on the podium and dimming the candlelight, as if ushering in a divine presence. The air thickened, wrapping around them like a woven tapestry of promise and challenge. It felt as if the very heavens were responding to their conversation. Suddenly, a soft, melodic sound resonated within the silence. It was like a choir of angels singing just beyond the reach of their ears. Goosebumps prickled on Hannah's arms as she glanced wide-eyed at Jeffrey. They both sensed it, a heavenly whisper carrying a message woven with threads of hope. "What is that?" Jeffrey's voice quavered, betraying a flicker of deep-seated longing for belief. "I don't know, but it feels sacred," Hannah breathed, tilting her head as if to catch the sound clearer. "It invites us to listen." The sound grew louder, more tangible, blending sweetly with the fading echoes of the earlier celebration. As if compelled by some unseen force, they moved toward the altar, the space becoming palpably charged with energy. With each step, their hearts beat faster, quickening with a thrilling combination of fear and excitement. "Listen," Hannah urged, her heart swelling as she felt the warmth of divine presence envelope them. "It's calling us to a promise, something greater than we understand." With bated breath, they both knelt. In that sacred moment, as the heavenly resonance filled the chapel, they felt a powerful shift, an invitation to deepen their faith. Each note was a reminder of all they had overcome, mingling with the joy and uncertainty of what lay ahead. "If we just surrender," whispered Jeffrey, realization blooming on his face, "perhaps the fear will turn into faith. Perhaps we will see the truth." Hannah's spirit soared at his words. The shadows began to lift, revealing not despair, but hope, a peace that was unfathomable. They knew then that divine changes were indeed coming, but would they remain steadfast? As night fully enveloped the village, they exchanged a knowing glance, understanding that a greater journey awaited them all. It would require courage, trust, and an embrace of the divine mystery unfolding. Hannah felt a stirring in her heart, a question lingering unanswered in the depths of her spirit. "What does tomorrow hold, Lord?" The soft melody faded, almost imperceptibly, leaving them suspended in a moment where faith and fear danced together. As silence enveloped the chapel, one undeniable truth echoed in their hearts. A revelation awaited, and the promise of change was just around the corner. What would they discover when the sun rose again? As dawn began to break over Eldersfield, the first light of day spilled into the chapel, illuminating the last shadows of night. Hannah and Jeffrey remained kneeling, caught in the timeless moment where heaven and earth seemed to meet. Their hearts were still thrumming with anticipation, echoing the melody that had faded yet lingered, wrapping around their spirits like a warm embrace. "Look," Jeffrey whispered, his eyes wide with amazement as the sun rose, casting golden beams through the stained glass windows. The colors danced upon the walls, swirling in patterns that seemed to tell a story of their own, a tale of hope, grace, and divine promise. Hannah felt her heart flutter at the sight. "It's beautiful, like a painting made just for us." "Do you think it means something?" Jeffrey asked, his voice filled with a mix of wonder and nervous energy. "Is it a sign?" "Maybe it's a reminder," Hannah replied, her fingers running over the wooden altar, feeling its cool, smooth surface. God's artistry in our lives, that every dawn brings new beginnings. But Jeffrey shook his head, still wrestling with uncertainty. Yet, what if tomorrow doesn't hold anything different? What happens if the miracles we feel slip back into memory? Suddenly, as if the universe was waiting for a cue, a loud creak echoed through the chapel. They both turned to see an old Bible that lay forgotten on the lectern, its pages fluttering open. A moment later, a gentle breeze coursed through the room, blowing softly around them, as if inviting them closer. "Let us see what it says," Hannah urged, her curiosity piqued. They approached the lectern where the Bible rested, its spine cracked and worn. She carefully lifted the book, her heart racing. Jeffrey stood beside her, the tension between hope and fear still palpable. As Hannah scanned the page, her eyes widened. "Look, it's a passage about hope and renewal," she read aloud. "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." Each word resonated deep within them, igniting a flicker of courage in Jeffrey's heart. "It's as if God is speaking to us," he exclaimed, a spark of faith igniting in his chest. "He is promising us strength for the journey ahead." Hannah nodded, feeling that warmth spread, happy tears threatening to spill over. "It's a beautiful reminder," she said with a smile, "that no matter the uncertainties, we can rise above them with faith." "But Hannah," Jeffrey said softly, looking into her eyes, "it's still a challenge. Isn't it? We still have to face what's ahead, and I fear my faith isn't strong enough." "Faith is a journey, Jeff," she said, her voice firm yet gentle. "And sometimes it's in the wrestling that we find our strength. Remember, we're not alone. The whole village is carrying this burden, this hope, together." Their eyes met, and a deep understanding blossomed between them, forging bonds of trust that transcended their fears. As they took a step back, a ripple of tranquility settled over the chapel, like the calm after a storm. The light poured in, illuminating every corner, washing away remnants of doubt. They breathed deeply, allowing peace to nestle within their hearts. But just then, the distant sound of bells rang out, echoing through the village. Each chime seemed to call them into a new reality, a summon to gather. "What do you think that means?" Jeffrey asked, a growing excitement bubbling within him. "I think," Hannah replied, "that everyone is coming together. The moment for unity is upon us. We should prepare, for the day of revelation is dawning." As the sun rose higher, illuminating the path before them, they both felt the pull of divine purpose. What awaited them when they joined the others? What would God reveal as the village came together, hearts joined in faith and hope? The morning was alive with possibilities. A new chapter, a revelation awaited, and they would soon find out what tomorrow truly held. As the bells chimed out their melodious call, Hannah and Jeffrey exchanged hopeful glances. With each echo, an excitement thrummed through the air, drawing them both toward the heart of Eldersfield. The villagers would soon gather in the square, united in their purpose, a shared vision of faith that had been blooming in the shadows of doubt. They stepped outside the chapel, and the sun's rays felt like a gentle embrace on their skin. The village was stirring, life awakening from the slumber of night, and Hannah couldn't help but smile at the sight. Children danced in the streets, their laughter mingling with the fragrant aroma of freshly baked bread wafting from the bakery. "Do you remember what the priest said last Sunday?" Jeffrey asked as they walked hand in hand toward the village square. "He talked about how we are all like branches on a vine, sustaining one another and bearing fruit in our faith." "Exactly," Hannah replied, her heart swelling. "Today is about coming together, supporting one another. Each voice joining in prayer can create a beautiful harmony." As they approached the bustling square, they started to notice familiar faces. Old Mrs. Thompson waved from her doorstep, her hands stained with dirt from her morning gardening, while the young families gathered in clusters, their chatter rising like the birds overhead. A sense of anticipation thrummed in the air, almost palpable. Here, in this close-knit community, each person was a thread in a larger tapestry woven by the Creator's hand. But beneath this collective joy, Hannah felt a flicker of concern. "Jeff, what do you think will happen today?" she asked, stopping for a moment to look into his eyes. "I don't know," he admitted, a hint of nervousness creeping back in. "What if we don't receive the answers we're hoping for?" Sometimes it's not about the answers, but about the experience, being together and trusting in God's timing. She squeezed his hand tighter, anchoring them both in this moment. As they reached the center of the square, the gathered villagers turned their faces toward the sun, lifting their hands as if to receive divine grace. Hannah and Jeffrey joined them, feeling the warmth of their unity envelop them. The prevailing sense of expectation charged the atmosphere as the elders prepared to offer prayer. Then, just as silence began to fall, a figure appeared at the edge of the crowd. It was Tom, the village's beloved storyteller, known for weaving tales that inspired both laughter and tears. His presence brought an air of reverence, and he stepped forward, drawing everyone's attention. "My dear friends," he began, his voice steady yet rich with emotion. "Today we gather not just as individuals, but as a family. We stand on the precipice of something extraordinary. I can feel the divine stirring among us, an awakening of faith like none we've experienced before." The crowd murmured, a tide of anticipation rising with each word. "I have glimpsed a vision," Tom continued, "of wings unfurling, of a great light breaking through the shadows. I believe, dear ones, something transformative is upon us." Gasps of surprise rippled through the crowd. Hope and trepidation mingled, pulses quickening with excitement. Hannah grasped Jeffrey's hand, her heart pounding. "Could this be it?" she whispered, hardly daring to breathe. "I think it is," he murmured, eyes wide with wonder. They stood transfixed by Tom's words, sensing that all of Eldersfield was holding its breath together, longing for a divine spark. "What must we do?" someone shouted from the back. "How can we be ready?" "Prepare your hearts," Tom replied. "In unity and prayer we seek guidance. Come together, seek the light. Let faith lead us." As the villagers began to raise their voices in prayer, something began to shift in the atmosphere, a sweet fragrance of hope mingled with anticipation. Hannah felt a warmth surround her, as though heaven itself was listening. And there, amid the fervor and faith, she couldn't shake the feeling that a great revelation was imminent. But what lay beyond the words of the storyteller? What divine wonders awaited them in this chapter of their lives? The sun climbed higher, casting a shimmering light over them, and Hannah knew deep within her spirit that something profound was about to unfold. As the villagers lifted their voices, a tapestry of prayers wove into the air. Each word floated upward, mingling with the bright sky, creating a sacred resonance that seemed to pulse with life. Hannah closed her eyes, feeling the vibrations of unity filling her soul. Tom's voice anchored them, guiding this collective spirit. "Seek the light, beloved friends. In faith, we shall find the answers that our hearts crave," he declared, eyes sparkling with purpose. Jeffrey stood beside Hannah, his grip steady but his heart racing. He felt the swell of emotion gathering within him. "There's such power when we all come together," he whispered, feeling the weight of their combined hopes and dreams. Around them, the villagers stood with eyes closed and hands raised, a sea of faces illuminated by the sunlight cascading down. Old Mrs. Thompson was swaying gently, her weathered face filled with serenity, while the children clutched their parents' sides, wide-eyed with wonder. A sudden breeze swept through the square, carrying whispers of longing and hope. It tangled their hair and sent shivers down their spines. In that divine moment, it was as if time folded, the boundaries of the mundane dropping away, revealing a fascinating glimpse into the sacred. And then, from the heart of the swirling prayers, something shifted. A soft light began to envelop Tom, glowing brighter as he spoke words that felt charged with an electric current. "There's a message for each of you," he called out, his voice unfaltering. "Listen closely, for the divine breathes hope into our hearts. You are seen. You are loved." Gasps erupted again, and a ripple of excitement circulated through the gathering. Hannah felt warmth wash over her, emotions crashing like waves. She squeezed Jeffrey's hand, the connection between them deepening as they shared this moment of revelation. "Look at the sky." A voice rang out from the back, eyes wide in awe. The villagers turned collectively, gasping at the sight above. Fluffy clouds shimmered as golden rays broke through, casting a radiant light that sparkled against the blue canvas of heaven. The air shifted, thick with expectancy. Hannah's heart raced at the sight. "What do you think it means?" she asked Jeffrey, her voice breathless with anticipation. "I have no idea," he admitted, eyes transfixed by the marvel above. "But I can feel something great is unfolding. God is here with us." Indeed, Tom's voice soared over their whispers, drawing everyone's attention back to him. "We are called not just to witness the shift, but to be part of it. Each prayer, each act of kindness, every moment of love has prepared us for this day." Hope surged in Hannah's heart, overcoming her earlier doubts. The divine presence wrapped around her like a soft blanket, warming her spirit. What if this was the moment they had all been waiting for? Above, the light flickered playfully, like laughter from the heavens. The atmosphere thickened with joy, pressing forward with a sense of urgency. Feeling compelled, Hannah stepped forward, her voice steady and bright. "We can do this together. Let us open ourselves fully to this moment." Around her, murmurs rippled through the crowd, and they began to echo her sentiment. Yes, together, as voices began to rise once more, harmonizing with the song of their hearts. Hannah closed her eyes again, surrendering to the rising tide of faith. She opened her spirit wide, ready to embrace whatever miraculous gift God had for them in that sacred moment. Yet, despite the magic enveloping them, doubt lurked as a quiet shadow. Was this truly a turning point, or simply a momentary thrill? As the prayers swelled into a powerful crescendo filled with longing, hope, and expectation, the villagers held their breath. What awaited them just beyond this moment? What revelation would descend upon their hearts? In that radiant silence, they all felt the divine echo and knew the best was yet to come. The radiance above seemed to pulse in rhythm with their hearts. With every beat, the villagers stood together, awash in wonder. As the luminous light swirled and danced in the sky, it stirred something deep within each soul present. They felt as if the very air was charged with divine electricity, charged with promise and possibility. Tom took a breath, allowing the moment to settle. "We stand on the brink of a great awakening. Let us not hide from what God is revealing. Open your hearts wide and let His love fill every space." He raised his arms, and the response from the crowd was immediate. The villagers, no longer merely spectators, joined him in an ecstatic display of worship. Voices harmonized, their prayers entwined like vines reaching for the sun. The harmony became palpable, wrapping around the square like a protective cocoon. Hannah felt the swell of energy surge through her. Each note, each word resonated off her spirit like a gentle echo. What if we could touch heaven with our hearts? She thought, her breath hitching with vivid expectancy. Just then, she recalled the stories from her grandmother about moments when the divine intersected with the mundane. Could this be one of those sacred times? Jeffrey, feeling the pulse of unity, turned to her, his voice barely a whisper. "Hannah, there is something magical happening. Don't you sense it? It's like the veil is thinner here." His gaze was filled with awe, and she nodded fervently, feeling the affirmation course through their bond. Suddenly, the wind picked up, carrying their song further into the world. It whistled joyously, akin to a jubilant choir in the heavens. Every face reflected the brilliance of the light above. Hannah locked eyes with Mrs. Thompson, who smiled softly, a radiant beacon of hope and wisdom. The elderly woman seemed to embody every prayer spoken, every moment cherished, an enduring testimony of resilience. In the midst of this beautiful scene, Tom began to move among the villagers, laying hands on shoulders, offering blessings and encouragement. Let us ask him together. What do we need to know? What is the message for each of us? His question hung in the air. Collectively, they took a deep inhale, grounding themselves in the shared spirit of unity. The atmosphere thickened with anticipation. Hannah felt a spark within her, as though they were all threads intricately woven together, each one significant in the divine tapestry God was crafting. As more voices joined in prayer, Some began to feel inexplicable shifts within them, instant comforts for worries, illumination for doubts, and purpose for despair. Like a gentle rush of water, grace touched every heart, uprooting fears and replacing them with steadfast faith. Hannah raised her voice, blending her spirit with those around her. Lord, reveal yourself. Show us your plan. We are ready for your light. The villagers echoed her plea, their collective yearning soaring to meet the luminous presence above. It felt as though the very skies were listening, bending low to embrace their words. With each repetition, the energy grew, cerulean light brightening in response, almost as if the heavens were stretching closer. Just then, as if answering their call, a sudden ripple swept through the gathering. The divine light intensified, creating a cascading effect, refracting and dancing like prisms in the afternoon glow. Hannah squinted, entranced by the brilliance, her heart pounding in her chest. The air sparkled with expectancy, and a reverent hush fell momentarily, enveloping them like a warm embrace. In that silent space, Hannah sensed something extraordinary was about to unfold, something that would challenge their faith and ignite their spirits in a new way. What does it mean? She breathed, the question hanging heavy with intrigue. Was this a moment of divine intention, or just a spectacular coincidence? With eyes turned upward, they awaited the answer, teetering on the edge of a revelation that promised to change everything. What would the light say to them next? The light above seemed to pulse not just with color, but with life itself. Each flicker and shimmer appeared to communicate something profound, something deeply personal to everyone gathered. In that stillness, their breath mingled with the fragrant air around them. It was as if time paused, holding the villagers in a sacred embrace. Tom stepped closer, his voice now a solemn whisper. Can you feel it? The heart of God is beating in our midst. Let's not be afraid, for he is with us. His words were like gentle waves, soothing yet electrifying. Hannah felt herself lean in, her soul yearning for clarity. Lord, speak to us, speak to me. She whispered inwardly, her heart echoing the prayers around her. Then, seemingly as a response, a single beam of light burst forth from the gathering clouds above. It pierced the twilight, illuminating the center of the square with a warm, golden hue. Gasps filled the air as the villagers turned their faces toward that radiant shaft. It was as if heaven itself had opened a window, inviting their spirits closer. Each heart swelled with hope. They felt chosen, as if the divine light was calling out specifically to each of them. Can you hear him? Jeffrey's voice trembled with awe, and Hannah nodded, her own heart racing. In the ensuing silence, a soft whisper carried through the crowd, ever so gentle yet resonating with force. Some closed their eyes, absorbing the message deep into their beings, while others opened their arms wide, as if offering themselves fully to the divine presence. In that moment, Hannah felt a surge of encouragement well up within her, a sense that her previous questions were beautifully merging with hope. The whispers continued, their echoes filled with promises of healing and purpose. Tears brimming in her eyes, she tried to articulate what her soul was begging to express. Is it really you? Can we know your plans? She murmured, feeling the divine presence answering her heart's cry. Around her, the villagers began to sway gently, their prayers lifting higher and blending, creating a sound not unlike the rustle of leaves in a summer breeze. Their hearts intertwined like the branches of ancient trees, strong and resilient against the whispering winds of doubt. Then something shifted. A figure began to emerge from the light, ethereal yet grounded. It was translucent yet filled with vivid color, a mixture that was both otherworldly and undeniably familiar. Hannah squinted, seeing a face that radiated kindness and understanding. The figure swayed in rhythm with the prayers, a living embodiment of hope. Each villager could feel the weight of that gaze resting upon them. It was a gaze that pierced through to their very cores, revealing not only their struggles, but also the divine promise woven through them. The figure seemed to beckon them closer, inviting them into a deeper connection, a call to action. "What does it mean?" whispered Mrs. Thompson, her hand clasped tightly in Hannah's. The question lingered, almost as if waiting for a divine response. In that charged moment, Hannah understood they were not simply bystanders in a wondrous spectacle. They were active participants in a grand awakening. Her heart swelled with realization. This was an invitation to step forth, a challenge to realign their lives with the divine purpose that was being unveiled. "Let's move in faith," Tom declared passionately. "Let us follow where he leads us." As the villagers began to step forward, an unspoken promise flowed among them, weaving their hearts together as one. They were ready to discover the path that God had charted, uncertain yet filled with courage. And before they could take another breath, the light shifted, dimming slightly as the figure began to dissolve into the brilliance again. "Wait, what of our fears?" Hannah called out, her heart pleading for clarity, knowing they stood on the threshold of something transformative. The air shifted once more, holding the collective breath of the villagers in anticipation. What revelation would follow this divine interruption? What challenge awaited them beyond this moment? The questions hung thickly in the atmosphere. More than ever, their spirits burned with eagerness and curiosity. What did they need to face next? What remained hidden, waiting to be uncovered? The villagers stood in collective stillness, eyes fixed on the fading brilliance. The air crackled with unspoken questions, like a tightrope stretched between fear and faith. Hearts beat as one. They were waiting, yearning, hoping for a sign, for a word, for a direction. "Can we just stay here?" whispered Hannah, wishing to prolong this moment of divine connection. But deep down, she knew that was not the purpose. They were being called, not confined. The Spirit beckoned them forward into the unknown, a vast horizon that shimmered with possibilities. Tom took a deep breath, grounding himself in the divine atmosphere. What if our fears aren't roadblocks, but stepping stones? He encouraged, glancing at each familiar face around him. What if they lead us toward growth instead of holding us back? Mrs. Thompson leaned closer to Hannah, worry etched on her face. "But what if we fail?" she murmured, her voice trembling as she spoke her deepest concern. Her hands were shaking, revealing the weight of her uncertainty. "Then we will rise again," Hannah replied, her own heart pounding with truth. "Every stumble is a lesson, a chance to discover our strength." The words flowed from her, empowered by this shared moment. She felt warmth envelop her, a sacred embrace, while the whispers intensified, filling the void left by the fading light. Suddenly, the air shimmered anew. A spark darted through the crowd, igniting hearts. It was a divine confirmation that they were not alone. Each villager could feel a gentle tugging at their souls, compelling them to press forward, to step out into the transformative light that awaited them. "Listen," Jeffrey exclaimed, a newfound fervor in his voice. "Yes, speaking again." Closing his eyes, he stood as if receiving a message from heaven. The whispers surged around them, forming a harmonious song that filled the square. A melody of surrender, love, and destiny. Hannah stood taller, allowing herself to be led by that sacred sound. "Let it flow through us," she shouted, and in that moment, they all began to sway together as one living body, a tapestry of faith being woven before the very eyes of their community. The melody seeped through their skin, healing wounded hearts and igniting courage within. In the midst of this, Hannah caught sight of the figure again, flickering at the perimeter of the glow. It was more defined this time, eyes sparkling with compassion, urging them toward the truth hidden in their fears. There was an understanding shared within that gaze. Every doubt held within their hearts was valid, yet each doubt was also an invitation to trust in something greater. As the light began to swirl and dance around them, an image formed, the outline of a path lit by a golden hue stretching beyond the village square into the distance, glowing like a promise. "We're meant for this journey," Tom said, awakening a spark in the hearts gathered. "What if the path is steep?" Mrs. Thompson asked again, the fear still lingering in her voice. "Then we learn to climb," Hannah replied, fueled by the rising energy of their collective faith. Together, as the crowd absorbed her words, a deeper understanding dawned. Each of them held a responsibility, a share in the divine movement that stirred among them. They were not merely participants, but vessels of Goddess light. The whispers crescendoed into a powerful chorus, resonating with heavenly purpose. Yet, just as it reached an apex, the light flickered violently. Each villager felt a shudder ripple through their bodies, a sense of urgency pulsing in the air. Hannah's heart raced. What were they being prepared for? The light dimmed one last time, and then she heard the voice clearer than before. "The time is now, walk with me, surrender, do not fear," as the words echoed. A profound understanding washed over her. This was not merely a call to action, it was a call to transformation. And then, the light shifted into a dazzling burst, leaving behind a singular question that hovered in the sacred space around them. Are you ready to embrace your calling? With hearts intertwined and spirits aflame, they stood on the cusp, ready to leap into the unknown. What awaited them beyond this divine invitation? What change would come when they finally took that step? In the heart of Eldersfield, the village now pulsed with divine energy. The air thrummed with anticipation, charged by the collective prayers and dreams released into the atmosphere. As the question echoed in their hearts, "Are you ready to embrace your calling?" a hushed silence enveloped the villagers, each soul wrestling with the weight of the moment. Hannah, feeling the vibrant energy, glanced at Jeffrey. His expression, once hardened by skepticism, now softened, revealing a flicker of hope nestled within uncertainty. They stood among their community, bound by a shared purpose, ready to step into what God was revealing. Tom raised his hands, igniting a wave of courage among the villagers. "This is our moment. Gather your fears and transform them into faith. Let us walk together into this calling, no matter how steep the path may seem." His voice resonated like a rallying cry, summoning their collective spirit into action. "Yes," echoed voices rose in affirmation, an electric current soaring through the square. Hannah felt a surge of strength in those words as she stepped forward, eyes ablaze with determination. "Together, we can face anything. The light will guide us." Jeffrey looked around, inspiration flickering in his chest. "I used to think doubt was my shield," he admitted, his voice trembling. "But now I see it has been a shackle." The villagers nodded, understanding and acceptance blooming in their hearts. With renewed resolve, they turned toward the pathway, illuminated by the shimmering light, a sacred road that seemed to beckon them with each gentle flutter of the wind. Holding hands, the villagers began to move forward, step by step. The pathway extended before them like a golden ribbon, stretching into the horizon where possibilities awaited. The closer they walked to the light, the less they felt the burden of doubt. Instead, they embraced an unshakable peace that wrapped around them like a cloak. As they journeyed together, Hannah felt every heartbeat resonate with an echo of unity. They sang songs that burst forth from their souls, blending into one harmonious symphony of reverence and trust. Elation hung in the air while old fears fell away, relinquishing their grip on their hearts. Jeffrey, side by side with Hannah, started to hum along, finding courage in vulnerability. "I never thought I could join in this kind of faith. It's liberating," he exclaimed, laughter bubbling up, spilling into their song. Old Mrs. Thompson, a vital thread in the tapestry of their community, smiled at Jeffrey. "We all needed this, dear boy. It takes courage to step into the light." As they traveled deeper, the landscape around them began to shift. Lush green fields blossoming beside the golden path, vibrant flowers dancing to the rhythm of their voices. Each step revealed another piece of divine artistry, their faith manifested in colors previously unseen. Suddenly, a great joy erupted within Hannah. "Look," she exclaimed, pointing toward what appeared to be a magnificent gathering ahead. More faces emerged, sharing smiles radiant with the warmth of hope. There were other villagers joining together, drawn by the light, hungry for connection and for the divine whispers that promised transformation. As they approached the gathering, something shifted in the atmosphere. A golden aura enveloped them, stirring an eagerness, a divine invitation to deeper understanding. Tom, who had been at the forefront, raised his voice again. Here we shall forge new paths, unite in spirit, and share our blessings with the world. This is our divine charge to spread hope, love, and healing. A collective cheer erupted among the villagers, sent forth like a wave crashing upon the shores of doubt. They understood. This was not merely a celebration, but a commitment to walk together in faith, ready to let God lead them further into their calling. As laughter and prayer mingled, the light intensified, almost as if it had become sentient. It wrapped lovingly around each villager, whispering secrets of potential yet to be uncovered. Their hearts swelled, filling, with dreams waiting to be ignited. Jeffrey stood firm as realization washed over him. This experience, it's more than any miracle I believe possible. It's about being a part of something infinite. The warmth expanding within him chased away scattered remnants of doubt. Yes, Hannah chimed in, buoyed by the presence of the divine surrounding them. Together, side by side, they leaned into the unfolding mystery, their faith shaping their reality. And just as they stood at the precipice of this profound experience, the light above began to shift once more, transforming into intricate patterns, visions of future possibilities swirling like the colors of a sunrise. Each villager felt their hearts quicken as they caught glimpses of what was before them. "What is this?" someone whispered as the images unfolded in vivid splendor. Visions of families, of healing, compassion, and community emerged, each aspect revealing the power of love through action. "This is the calling," Tom proclaimed, his eyes glimmering with fervor. A reminder that each one of us can be a thread in this magnificent tapestry. Together we will create a legacy fueled by hope. Awestruck and inspired, the villagers nodded, surrendering to the prevailing truth they were called for a purpose greater than themselves. As they stood united, every heart bearing witness to the extraordinary journey they had taken together, one thing was abundantly clear. They were ready to embrace the divine changes awaiting them. No longer bound by the shadows or whispers of doubt, they faced the horizon with open hearts, prepared to walk boldly into the next great chapter. As they stepped forward as one, the village of Eldersfield would carry the promise of restoration into the world, a living testament of faith and love that would resonate far beyond their small village. The light shimmered brighter, echoing the chorus of their hearts and heralding the dawn of an extraordinary new day. And so, in that sacred moment, transcending time and space, with hearts unwavering, they moved forward together into the glorious unknown, bearing witness to the manifestation of miracles yet to unfold. Now, as you reflect on the journey of Eldersfield, remember, faith is alive and breathing among us. You need to feel this journey echo in your heart. Subscribe immediately to join us in uncovering exclusive stories of faith that will empower and uplift you. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and help others experience this miraculous transformation. Don't wait even one more second to share this astonishing revelation with at least 5 friends who crave inspiration and seek to witness God's divine manifestation. You are part of a community that thrives on hope, and together we can spread this light to the world. Comment below your reactions and testimonies so we can celebrate this journey together.